it was hard because it's not diverse at all in those industries. So nobody looked like me or sounded like me. It was really hard work. So I had the opportunity to do that. And I really
Mm.
focused on bringing different people in, working on behaviours and what needed to happen to really include different people. So it all came from that experience in tech because my premise has always been like nobody should be prevented from pursuing a career they want to.
Hello, and welcome to Creatives Like Us, where I speak with creatives of colour who share journeys and stories and ideas and how they can inspire and open up avenues in creative industries. I'm your host, graphic designer Angela Lyons, and with the help of my guests, I will bring you insightful interviews and compelling stories that can inspire you to think about things differently or shape your next move. Being a creative of colour can bring its challenges, highs and lows and in-betweens. But this podcast is about amplifying our voices and celebrating together. So, are you ready? Let's get started with Creatives Like Us. Hi, and welcome to Creatives Like Us. I'm here today with Mo, who is a diversity and inclusion leader, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to her. So over to you, Mo. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on. I'm Mo Kanjilal and I am one of the co-founders of Watch This Space, a diversity and inclusion company founded during the pandemic. So next year we'll be 5 years old. And I'm also the co-author of a book called The Inclusion Journey, which I've written with my business partner and it was published in August this year. And I'm a TEDx speaker. I spoke at TEDx Brighton earlier this year too. And I wear a lot of hats. I do loads of other things too. So I'm also a charity board trustee, a non-exec director and a mentor for another charity too. So I do lots of things.
Wow. First off, congratulations on the book
Thank
and
you.
also TEDx speaker. That's amazing too. But I'm sure the book was like a labour of love. I know writing a book is not easy. So well done on doing that. That's just fantastic. So well done. Well done. Can you tell me how
Yeah.
you started in your journey?
Yeah. So I didn't ever set out to start my own business. It's not something I planned to do. I think probably I did always want to write a book. So when I was at school, I did want to write a book. But when you're a child and you say you want to be a writer, it's not something that's particularly encouraged. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I studied subjects I liked. So I studied English. So I always had that creative thing. But then when you finish a degree in English, it's a bit like, what am I going to do now? I've got to earn some money. So I started working in marketing because I thought that would be a good thing to do.
Was that
That was
straight
my
from
plan.
uni?
Yeah, pretty much. I applied for loads of marketing jobs and then I got a job in a tech company. It just happened to be a tech company that I got the job in. So I
Wow.
started working in marketing, but I quite quickly realised I preferred sales because that was more about like direct conversations with people and traveling and meeting people. So I sort of always had one foot in the door of marketing, but more on the sales
More
side is
sales
what I
side.
really did. Yeah.
It's so funny because a lot of people do, that's especially small business owners, a lot of people do hate doing the sales,
That's
but
the
you
thing
loved
most
it.
people hate, yeah, loved it. And I then progressed my career into, like, really senior roles in tech companies as the sales and marketing lead. So the last big corporate role I had, I was vice president of sales and marketing for a big FTSE listed company
Wow.
with a big team around the world. So that's what I progressed to doing. But that tech career was sort of by accident. It's just that's what I did
It's sort
first of
you
all and
landed
then
into.
progressed. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
fantastic, brilliant. So with that tech company, how long were you there for, if you don't mind me asking?
I worked for loads of different tech companies over a number of years. So, like,
Yeah.
one was 8 years, another one was 2 years, like, all sorts of different tech companies in different industries. So I worked in the space industry, healthcare, all different kinds of software, things that stop ships colliding at sea, like, all kinds of really
Wow,
techy products is what I
that's
used
such
to
a
do for years.
breadth of different industries there. So did that impact on your next move of sounds like you left those companies and you set up on your own?
Yeah, so there's a few things about the tech companies. First of all, the to be successful in sales and marketing in a tech company, you've got to be able to understand complicated technology and then explain it clearly to people to be able to sell it. But actually, my degree in English was quite useful for that. So I did that for a number of years, and I was successful. Like, I progressed to senior roles, but it was hard because it's not diverse at all in those industries. So nobody looked like me or sounded like me. It was really hard work. I used to have to put up with all sorts of things. And when I look back on it, I don't know why I did because it was
No,
tough.
yeah.
Yeah. So I always thought, well, it shouldn't be like this. It should be that anyone can progress a career in tech because technology is about things that we use all around us. It should involve
Everyone's using it, shouldn't it? Everyone's
everyone should
using
be
it.
involved.
Yeah.
So that's why I started working on diversity and inclusion when I was in a tech company. I was in a senior role, so I had the opportunity to do that. And I really
Mm.
focused on bringing different people in, working on behaviours and what needed to happen to really include different people. So it all came from that experience in tech because my premise has always been like nobody should be prevented from pursuing a career they want to because they're going to experience discrimination. It shouldn't be that way. And so that's what happened, and then I did that for a long time and loved it. I loved all the traveling around the world and everything. But then eventually I thought, well, actually, I've had enough of this now. I want to do something different. So I left corporate life, cashed in my shares, and started working for a much smaller company in Brighton where I live, a smaller software company, which I loved. It was brilliant there because it was completely different to corporate life where you had all to get signatures for everything, and it wasn't like that at all.
Sign off takes years.
Yeah, but then it meant I had time. That was the crucial thing because I wasn't in corporate anymore. I had some time. So I started volunteering for a charity. So I still mentor for the Girls Network, and it's all about mentoring girls to show them like different careers they can pursue. So I started doing that, and they asked me to be a panelist at an event this is in 2018. And that evening, the other panelist was my now business partner, Allegra. That's how we met.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
it's just the power of connections and the power of being the right place at the right time, and it just all
And, like,
works
had
out.
I not gone that evening, it's just the
Yeah.
thing that I did, and so we had very similar answers to a lot of the questions. We sort of connected that evening. She was working in digital marketing, so she was running with some other people a group called Brighton Digital Women for Women in Tech. So I then started helping them with that and organising the events with them, and then that was all then we went into lockdown. And then in lockdown, we were on a Zoom call and we said, "Thing though, it's not just about women in tech. It's
Yeah.
a much wider thing, all sorts of ideas we were talking about." And we said, "We can't leave the house. We've got all this time. Should we just try starting a company?" And that was the start of Watch This Space.
Wow. How
Yeah.
about that? That creative company created in lockdown by a chance meeting and then obviously sadly lockdown, but it was a good thing. It was a good thing. It turned into a good thing.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people created things in lockdown, I think.
They did, yeah.
That was when I started really writing the novel that I'm still trying to write, but I started to really do
Is
that in
this fiction?
lockdown. Fiction, yeah. Started doing
Great.
that in lockdown, started Watch This Space. We, right at the beginning of Watch This Space, said we wanted to write a book. That was always on our ideas of what we wanted to do. So actually, although it was an awful time for loads of people, for us, it was quite a creative time.
I suppose it's, one of my questions was going to be about a catalyst connection where somebody in your lifetime changed you or changed a path that you went down. Was Allegra that person, or has there been more, or has there been?
That was when you sent me that question, I was like, "There's so many people, there's
Are there
so
so
many
many
pivotal
people?
people." So, when I was in corporate, somebody said to me, "Have you heard about these conferences run by someone called Dr. Sam Collins? She runs Aspire for Equality, which is this women's leadership." And I was like, "No." And I went to an event. This is when I was still in my corporate role. And that was really enlightening. That was just like, "Oh, I could do something different." So she's definitely been pivotal. I went to an event of hers actually last week, and it was really great to see her
You're
again.
still in touch with her? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it was at one of her events that I met somebody from the Girls Network who said, "Have you thought about mentoring from the Girls Network?" So that was another pivotal one. Then yes, there was meeting Allegra, and then so many things like that happen along the way. I think they just do
Yeah.
in your
They
life,
just
don't
do.
they?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do. But that question always makes for people, when I've asked it to the guests, they always go, "Oh, and this person and that person." And they realise like how many people had an effect on them. And I think that's what I love about, especially doing this podcast, because I think hopefully someone will listen to this and then get inspired by you or somebody else they hear, and it'll just be a pass on the next thing and next thing. So it's like passing it on, really, isn't it?
definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah. And watch this space. I just want to ask you about that. Because I'm a brand graphic designer, I just have
yeah,
to ask, why is the aim is so
yeah.
it's got the logo, it says watch this space and it says SP underscore and then CE. So I'm just wondering, obviously the A is missing. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that?
So the name was actually thought up by Allegra's husband, so it wasn't either of us. And it was sort of a play on Mind the Gap and gender pay gaps and like, a kind of a play on that, but also a bit of a warning, like you need to watch out because there are gaps and spaces that in society that we need to fill. And then the underscore, the dropping of the A's to represent those gaps and spaces that are missing. It's a kind of warning to say who's missing from your organisation. That's what you need to think about. And it's been really interesting because at the time, I don't think we realised how good it would be, but it's been really good for SEO and like brand recognition. Yeah, I don't think we realised how good it would be at the time, but
It
it's
is,
been
it
really
is.
good.
I'll put the link in the show notes, but I think it's such a great name, and also the way you actually presented it and the brand logo, everything around it, the brand. And now you've actually explained it to me. I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
And the
It's
brackets in the
and the
logo
bracket, yeah,
are for the spaces, yeah, to represent like that's the space, who's missing in your space.
yeah, yeah. Love it. I love it. And what are you doing at the moment with Watch This Space? Where are you guys at now? What's the latest projects?
So this year's been a big year for us with the book. That's been a huge thing. So with the book, we wanted to write a book, but it's very easy to say you want to write a book. How do you make that happen? And then we got approached by like, our dream publisher, the one that we'd already looked up. They approached us last summer, the editor, and said, I've been like researching and wondered if you're interested in writing a book. And we're like, yes.
What are the chances? Wow. How did they? Can I just ask quickly before we continue? How did they find you? Was it
I
just that
think
they've
they
been
just
watching it?
searched. They just searched for us on the internet. We've
Literally.
had quite a lot of publicity. So we won a national competition in 2021 that was this business booth
Fantastic.
competition that got us quite a lot of publicity. And then we won a couple of other awards after that. So we already had quite a lot of publicity. We've had loads of PR as well, been loads of like news articles and things. So I think probably if you search diversity and inclusion company, we must come up
You must get your
quite
SEO's
well.
doing. So the
Yeah.
SEO's doing well, yeah, and also places
Yeah.
that you're featured in. Yeah,
And
brilliant.
then probably they saw us on LinkedIn, probably through another connection, something like that. So it came through that. And then they said to us, do you want to write a book? And we said, yes, we'd love to write a book. And they said, you could publish it next year. So we could have published it in 2025, or you can go for it in 2024. Allegra and I have a tendency to say yes to things and figure out how to do it afterwards. So we said, yes, that's what we'll do. So actually so we started writing it in October. So it was almost this time last year. We started writing in October and we finished writing it in probably beginning of March. That's how long it took us to
Wow.
write. Yeah.
And it's published. And when was the published date?
August. Yeah, it's been
This
out
year.
since August. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. I do actually know that because I've been looking at you, checking you out. But
Yeah.
for the listeners, that is just like amazing that you did it in, that's like less than a year. That you got
Yeah,
it,
we
someone
loved it. We
approached you.
absolutely loved writing it. We had such a good time. We've actually got an idea for book number 2 that we're
Right.
meeting about to talk about soon as well. So the book has changed things for us because it's given us more reach. People are approaching us that we didn't know before. It's growing our influence with the book. We've now got a team of people that work for us as well around the country, so that we're getting clients in different areas now. So what we want to do now is really work on that and really expand our reach as much as we can
Mm.
into different sectors and different parts of the country, and just really grow that brand reputation. Do lots more speaking. After TEDx, you get approached quite a lot to do a lot of speaking, so I've done a lot. Doing more of that as well. And yeah, we've got this idea for book number 2. So we're
Wow.
going to start sketching out the proposal for that.
Is that along the same themes or is it something different?
Kind of delving further into it, because the inclusion journey book, what that book does is it goes through the whole journey of how you take an organisation through an inclusion journey, and it's got loads of stories and case studies and people we interviewed and things like that. The next one, we want to go further into what some of the root causes are of people not feeling
Mm.
included. So it's about communication. We really want to go like further
Yes.
into that, the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Are any of your experiences documented in the book?
Not loads of personal stories. There is some in there, yeah, but we mostly researched and interviewed people. So actually, with the second book, we might put more of ourselves into that,
Mm.
so that it's
Mm.
more of our stories. Because Allegra's had her own experiences with work as well that drove her to. In fact, the reason she became self-employed was after she had a baby. She had to basically. So
Emotions.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's got her own
Okay.
stories about it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think probably the next one will build more of our own stories
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. That'd be great. It'd be nice to hear a little bit about you in there too. And
Yeah,
obviously people relate to that.
yeah.
So that's where you're at now, promoting the book, obviously within the
Promoting
company.
the books, we've just done a whole load of book launch events for a couple of months, which we went all over the place to do that. Continue promoting the book and do more talks and
Mhm.
try and expand the business, and then work on this second book. Do
Mhm.
that as well. And then I've got some ideas. I loved doing the TEDx talk. I absolutely loved it. And I've got some ideas about trying to work on another one and pitch it somewhere else.
Fantastic. I'm just always interested with TEDx talks. Do you actually, did you pitch for that or did they come to you or was it just that?
That's
What,
an
how does it
interesting
work?
one. So it's a mixture. I think some people do pitch, but sometimes the organisers reach out. So for
Mhm.
me, the organiser of TEDx Brighton, I think we'd met at an event somewhere, and I think maybe I'd said something about what I'd be interested in talking about, and then I think we had a couple of messages on LinkedIn. I didn't know him very well at all. Met for a coffee and then talked more about the idea. The idea I'd actually had for a long time. It's one that's been brewing in my head. So I talked about valuing the power of our differences, and that's something that it's a theme that I've thought about a lot, and it's all about how actually if we stopped kind of hating each other for being different and actually understood differences
Gosh,
more, wouldn't things be better?
wouldn't the world be a better place if we all did that?
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So that's
amazing.
what I talked about.
Yeah. So this TEDx talk, just going back to it, because I love like listening to them. Can
Yeah.
people listen to it? Can they
Yeah,
find you
I'll send you
online?
the link.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you send
yeah,
me the link and I'll put that in
yeah,
the show notes too? That'd be great.
yeah.
That'd
Yeah.
be
I love
fantastic.
doing it as well. Like if you ever get the opportunity, do it. It's brilliant.
Funny enough, I just did my first talk by myself last week, but it wasn't a TEDx talk. It was in a co-work space, and it's taken me a while to get my public voice out there. Which is one of the reasons why I'm doing the podcast. I'm going to be sharing people's voices as well as my own, because I think sometimes I've shied away from it over the last few years. And I did a co-working talk last week on brand visibility, and it was 15 minutes long. And I got up and I did it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was by myself." I
Brilliant.
had I had a clicker and everything, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look at me!"
Brilliant. And then the
So
more you do it, the easier it gets. You get more and more experience in
that's
doing
what
it.
people have been saying. They've been saying you get less nervous and you get more and more
Yeah.
experience. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, day to day, how do you work together? And do you consider yourselves creatives?
So we started our business in lockdown when we couldn't leave the house. So we've always worked in that way. We don't have
Yeah.
I live in the same place anyway, so we wouldn't be able to have an office.
Really?
But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, Allegra moved further down the coast later on in lockdown. But our team are also based all around the country, and we're also our whole premise is we don't want traditional work structures. So don't have an office. We all work flexible hours. We work when it suits us as well, so we don't have set hours. So we work at the times of day that work for us. So Allegra has children, so she can work it around that. Kaya, who works for us, also has we all have loads of projects going on. So we
Yeah.
work really flexibly and remotely. We do sometimes meet up for meetings to catch up on things, and obviously go to clients a lot as well. So we do a lot of
Hmm.
that. And then the creatives, definitely. So all of us involved in the business love writing. So all the blogs and content that you see is all us. That is
Yeah.
because we're all really passionate about writing. And as well as the kind of work writing and the books that we're doing, I write fiction, Allegra writes fiction as well. Kaya, who works for us, she's really creative with video. So yeah, we're a very creative company. And I think that has helped us a lot as well because we have those ideas and creativity. It's helped us with the business. And between us, we've got some of the skills that often business owners will struggle with, which is sales. So I'm happy doing that.
You're fine with that, aren't you?
And then marketing as well. So 'cause I get approached all the time on LinkedIn by people saying that they want to start their own diversity and inclusion company or they want to start out themselves. And I always say to them, like, are you aware how much sales and marketing is involved in that? Because if you're not aware of that, I think it can be quite a shock to people when they start out. Freelancers and things, I think they think that it's going to be easy to get work, but it's not. You have to really work at it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the things, isn't it? Because you have an idea, and especially with creatives, it's, oh my God, I've got an idea. It's all great. It's great. And you just think, oh, I've got to tell the world about that now. And you've got, I suppose, I'd say even it's 50-50, isn't it? 50% work and 50% you've got to keep, that pipeline going. You've got to keep telling people about who you are, what you do, what you can do for them, the work coming in. So that is really tough for doing the marketing side of it. So that's good advice. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the sales bit of it as well. It's not just about
Yeah.
broadcasting marketing. You've got to engage in conversations with people
Yeah.
and follow up
Yeah.
and keep that going. And I think a lot of people find that really hard.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was going to ask, what's next for Watch This Space? And also, do you know what? Before we talk about that, I'd love to talk about the Clock Tower Sanctuary. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? Because obviously, one of my values is to be kind, and I like to give back. But obviously, we've got to work and everything like. But the Clock Tower must take a lot of your time too, does it? And it's voluntary. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I always thought I'd like to progress into board roles because I'd had senior roles in corporate. So I thought it'd be really good to do that as a non-exec director. And then I hadn't really thought about being a charity board trustee until somebody I know who is now the CEO at Clock Tower Sanctuary, she said to me back in 2020, I think, have you ever considered being a charity board trustee? And I said, no, I didn't think that was for people like me. And she was like, "It really is." And right now, charities really need to diversify their boards. So if you wanted to join one, there'd be loads of charities interested in talking to you. Then we did some work on what am I interested in. And it's always been young people for me. So I mentor for the Girls Network charity as well. So that's like young people. And I already had fundraised for the Clock Tower Sanctuary. So I knew the charity as well. And so I joined the board in 2021. And then I progressed. I'm now vice chair of the board as well. And but yeah, it does take up time, but perhaps not as much as people think it does. You can do it alongside other things. So you have board meetings, and you need to prepare for board meetings, and then each of the trustees gets involved in areas that they're interested in. So I'm involved with personnel and equality because it's something I'm interested in.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there could be one like finance, or there could be one.
Yeah, so it depends what you're interested in as to the areas you get involved in. And everybody on the board does all different jobs, different roles,
That's
and does
great.
it alongside that. And then I also have a non-exec role at a healthcare social enterprise as well, which is involved with kind of healthcare services, and I work on healthcare inequalities. So everything weirdly connects in a way that I do.
Wow. Is there anything else that you want to fit in? Sounds like a lot. Is there anything else next? What next
But
for you?
there is one more other thing I
Is there
do.
one more?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, tell me.
I'm also on the advisory board at a company called Tech Native Digital, which is about addressing gaps in the tech sector. So getting more women into roles, getting more people of different ages, people with different
Brilliant.
skills, and yeah,
Yeah. I suppose you know lots about it because obviously you were in it and you're passionate
yeah.
about it. That'd be great. Could you also, obviously, after we finish,
I'll send
give me
you
the
all the
show
links.
notes? Because I think that's really important too for listeners. I think sometimes people don't see creatives tech in creativity, which is like, gosh, it
But it's
really is,
so
and it's
creative.
so creative. But it'd be great to have those links for the
Yeah.
listener. Thank you so much. So what's next for Watch This Space, and for Mo, what's next? What's the future
So
hold?
the future holds hopefully another book, and hopefully more talking and really getting out there to really drive change. We've also done a lot of work on our products and services and really refined it into this message of the inclusion journey, that it's a journey and that it's not just one thing you do to make a difference. There's lots of things you do. So really honing in on that and just increasing our impact in what we do. So really being focused because we are creatives, we have new ideas all the
All the
time.
time.
We see something shiny and we want to do it. So we're having to be really like clear about what we do and really focusing on that. We have our own advisory board, which has been great because they're people that help us that say, okay, let's
That's
define what you're
great. So
going to do.
you've got actually an advisory, so it's
Yeah.
outsiders looking in. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had that idea because I was asked to join the advisory board at Tech Native Digital. Then we were like, hang on a minute, we could do that as well.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
now have three fabulous people on our advisory board who have all different skills that help us with staying focused and like really figuring out what we're doing and
That's
giving us that
fantastic.
outside perspective.
Yeah, that's really good. Can I ask a quick question, actually? Because I've spoke to other, mainly women, actually. Seems like a lot of women in diversity. Well,
Yeah,
that isn't the
lots.
question, but is there a lot of
It's
women? Is
true.
it? Yeah,
So it's dominated, to be honest, it's dominated by white women, the diversity and
right.
inclusion sector. There are different people in the sector, but it is more women that are in the sector
Mm.
too. But then that's something that needs to be addressed. That does need to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my question was actually going to be around, I've heard other women, more so black women, Asian women, going into spaces or going into companies. And then the company's actually saying to them, oh, yeah, that's great. Come and talk to us. And then they put their proposal forward. And then the company say, oh, actually, I have to pay you. I didn't realize I had to pay you. I just think that's so terrible. And when they told me about that, I was like, are they for real? And these are like big, like you said, FTSE 100 companies that can clearly afford it, but think it's just a nice thing to have to tick that CSR box. And can you explain why they think that it's not worth paying for? Or is it just because they think can get away with not paying? Or do they really not have budgets?
So I've
Or do
learned
they think it's not important?
a lot about what I say yes to. So yeah, loads of people, basically everybody wants you to do things for free and it's not for free. This is our job. So you have to really show people what value we're going to bring and why this is important to them. For example, a big tech company, if they don't work on diversity and inclusion and have different kinds of people in the organization, they're not going to generate loads of new ideas. You have to really show them that. And it is often the biggest companies that say they don't have budget. So I've learned to say no to loads of free things. I don't do that now. I've actually started doing saying if you want me to do something for free, I sometimes do, but then I say, can you make a donation to the Clock Tower Sanctuary? I'm doing something for free. So I'll do things for
Yeah.
free for some organisations. So like the Girls Network, where I'm a mentor, I do things. Yeah, that's fine. But big
Mhm.
companies with budgets need to prioritise budget for these kinds of things, and question why they're not. If they're asking you to do things for free, would they do something for free? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I always bring it back to Sainsbury's, but you don't go into Sainsbury's and say, oh, I'm just going to have that croissant. I don't want to pay for it though, but I'm going to have it. I just think, why don't you want something? Pay for it. It's
Exactly,
just
exactly, yeah. Which is the other thing with speaking at events, like, it's good to do a few for free to build up your experience,
experience.
but then it's like, "Actually, no, hold on a minute. You can
Yeah.
pay for these
You
things."
need to pay for this now because I am
Yeah,
a business. Yeah, yeah, it's true, but it's to get the experience. I understand totally you have to do it for free sometimes, but the bigger organizations, yeah, you need to start paying
yeah,
basically. We've all got bills to pay.
exactly.
So is there a dream client that you would like to work with?
I think probably a really cool tech company who are developing something that was gonna be, like, world changing, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But also, we do a lot of work with councils, and actually that has such a massive
Interesting.
impact on society. So working with more of them, because that's directly then impacting communities. So maybe not as glitzy, but it's,
It
has a
is.
direct impact on society. So yeah, more of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, that's important actually. It's good. I'm glad you said that because I think a lot of people they underestimate the council and what's on offer in the councils. I know that I'm
Yeah.
part of Waltham Forest and they offer quite a lot for small businesses and they try and do events, obviously for diversity inclusion. They're always trying to do that and it's brilliant. In the summer we had there was a multi-faith festival and it was literally just in the town hall and there was different faiths there and music but then I think other people are not aware of that. But it'd be good if someone like you came along and told other councils about this, say, why don't you try
Yeah.
this or what, being creative with what they've got in their space and who they've got around them.
Yeah, so we work with quite a few councils already, and we'd love to work with more. And there is loads of support actually for starting out your business and how to scale it, and like community
Mm,
support and things like that. It'd be great if more people knew about those things.
brilliant. Thanks, Mo. I'm going to answer you a question. I'm just end on a personal note. Well, there's two personal note questions. What advice would you give your teenage self?
I get asked this a lot because I mentor teenage
Yeah, that's
girls.
why I'm asking too. I'd love
Yeah,
to know.
so what they always say is, "Did you know when you were like 15, 16 what you wanted to do?" And I always say, "No, I still don't know." Like, I never really planned it out or knew what I wanted to do. I think some people do, and they're really lucky they know early on what they want to do. I didn't. It was all just things that happened along the way and opportunities I took and chance meetings and things like that.
That's
So I would say,
brilliant.
like, don't worry. That's the advice I always give. Don't worry about having a fixed plan. Things happen along the way. Say yes to opportunities, and you never know where it takes you.
That's brilliant advice. That's really
Thank
good
you.
advice. I like that. I like that. I do a quick fire fun in 5 questions. Don't worry. It's one or the other. So we'll start off with crisp or chocolates,
Chris,
beach or forest,
beach,
book or Kindle,
book,
reggae or soul,
reggae,
a patty or a sandwich.
sandwich.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mo. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the podcast and where people can find you or any other parting words for us?
No, I'll add all the links. Our website's watchthispace.uk, but I'll send you all the links. And
Brilliant.
thanks so much for having me on. I've loved it.
Oh, thank you, Mo. I've loved it too. And thank you to Mel for putting us in touch. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. Take care. Let me start by giving thanks. Thank you for tuning in to Creatives Like Us. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it thought-provoking, inspiring and entertaining. If you did, it would absolutely make my day if you could share, subscribe, rate, review, wherever you get your podcast from. Also, if you have a question or a comment, I'd love to hear from you. All the ways to connect are in the notes. Until next time, keep being creative like us.